Well, when Christ returns, look at verse 7. It also said not only will this nation against nation, but the second half of the verse says famines. Despite all of our technological advancement, there are millions of people either starving to death or on the verge of starvation. I mean, look at what's going on. And the Ethiopia famine, North Korea. I mean, they won't even allow news pictures of Korea because there's such utter famine going on in Korea. Why is there such famine in North Korea? What are they spending all their money on? Been reading the papers? Atomic weapons. They're building the most elaborate underground bunkers for all their weapons that they're making, their nuclear missiles. But the people, it's conservatively thought that there are 4 to 6 million North Koreans who don't have enough food to eat, who are actually losing body mass because of malnourishment. And we're just talking about Korea. Many other places, or global famines. But what's coming is going to be far worse than that because there's such a delicate balance going on right now. We have in America just in time, delivery of everything. We don't stockpile stuff anymore. We just have it constantly in motion to get there. And if anything upsets the global system of energy, of food, it's just amazing how quickly famines could happen. And there's so much dependency on irrigation. There's so much technology involved in food production these days and distribution. There are whole cities. I mean, there are cities around the world that there is no way that those cities could exist if there wasn't. I mean, look in America. Los Angeles is a classic example of an engineering perfection. Every night, about 10 o'clock, the trucks start coming into Los Angeles. We lived there for many years. You go on the 5, Interstate 5, the 5 they call it, and you go about after 10 o'clock, and you see what looks like an invasion. I mean, it is just wall-to-wall, 5 lanes wide of semis coming in to resupply the second largest city in America. There's nothing in Los Angeles to feed all those millions of people. It's all real estate. It's all parking lots. It's all Walmarts, They don't have it. They aren't growing anything there. They aren't really producing it. It's just millions of people waiting for the army of trucks to come over the grapevine, the pass, and over into the basin of L.A. Not just the trucks. There's not enough water for those people. Not at all. It has to all be hauled in. It has to be hauled in. They're buying it from every state they can buy it from. And that's just Los Angeles. I mean, New York City's no different. Chicago, you can just go Shanghai, Mexico City. We have developed these massive pockets of multi-million people that there's this fine-tuned, delicate substructure, this infrastructure that is supplying them. You know what, in tribulation, it's not going to work. There's going to be famines for many reasons. When we get to Revelation, you'll see it's the climactic changes and all that. But when Christ returns, there's global famines. Did you know that there were local famines? There was never global famines. Do you know why? Because most everybody in the ancient world, just like they had in America up till about the 1930s, everybody had a little plot of ground. Everybody grew just enough. That's what they still do in Russia. They all have their dachas and they have their little farms out there. And they go out there and they have their garden and their potatoes. And they can, if everything falls apart, they can dig up their potatoes and their carrots and their turnips and they can live on that and make thinner and thinner soup, and they have a little cow and some chickens and all that. We don't have that. In fact, we have a whole generation that grew up and they think that meat comes from the supermarket. They don't even realize it was alive and walking around and making noises, and had to be killed. I mean, it's just amazing where technology has brought our world to, on the brink of utopia or global famine. It's just right on the line between the two. As long as the engineers can figure out how to get all those trucks over the pass and the water through the pipes, everything's good. Also, global pestilence. Look at verse 7. There's not only going to be famines, there's going to be pestilences. And the emerging diseases, if you want to read something, just read what this, don't go to the wacko sites. Just read what our government sites are saying about the advancement, about the rapid development of new strains that frighten them. I mean, even last week, the new understanding of how the animals of Africa, especially the chimpanzees and the monkeys, are transferring their sicknesses across into human lines. And it's just amazing what they're finding. Those that work in the jungles are bringing back into the cities in Africa the animal superviruses. And it says, a recent study just said, these things, they kind of kill out the people and it just doesn't go any further. But they said if any of these happen to get into population centers and mutate through humanly, it's amazing. I mean, we have AIDS and Ebola and hantavirus, the whole thing with mouse droppings, and it gets in the dust and everything, and the West Nile and SARS. And, just a few decades ago, some scientists were forecasting that medicine would soon eradicate deadly diseases and infections. And all it's done is made the fittest survive. Our antibiotics kill out the weak organisms, and the strong ones emerge stronger than our antibiotics. And you know that the flesh eating, you read about that, what's going on around the hospitals and what scares them.